The backhand strike crashed into Michael Jackson's jaw like an asteroid impact, sending the lowly ranked human Starfleet officer crashing to the polished marble floor of the Ferengi Grand Nagus's opulent throne room. Blood sprayed from Michael's split lip onto the intricate mosaics. "Pitiful human scum!" Pryla the Ferengi Grand Nagus spat in contempt, glaring down at Michael from his elevated throne. "Your meddling has cost me millions of bars of gold-pressed latinum. Slavery is too good for Federation trash like you." Michael pushed himself up on shaky arms, his bruised face twisted in pain and defiance. Electromanacles bit into his wrists. 2 hulking Ferengi guards flanked him, disruptor rifles aimed at his head. "The Federation will never let you get away with this," Michael growled through gritted teeth. "Enslave me, and you'll have the full might of Starfleet bearing down on you." Pryla threw his head back and cackled, spittle flying from his sharp teeth. "Starfleet? I spit on your precious Starfleet? The Ferengi Alliance bows to no one, especially not weak pinkskins like you. I'll enjoy watching you suffer in the dilithium mines for the rest of your pathetic life." The Nagus gestured dismissively at the guards. "Get this Federation filth out of my sight. Let him rot with the other slaves until—" The next few seconds happened in a blur. Michael surged to his feet in one fluid motion, electromanacles sparking and shattering like glass. His fists and feet blurred as he laid out the guards in a whirlwind of blood and teeth. Pryla's bulbous eyes nearly popped from his skull. He scrambled back on his throne, but it was too late. Michael's iron grip closed around the Ferengi's flabby throat as he slammed him against the wall. You can't— No human is this strong," Pryla gasped, scrabbling at Michael's hands in vain. "What are you?" Michael leaned in close, his voice a menacing hiss. "I may be a low rank, but even the weakest human has the strength of 10 of your spineless kind. Pray you never give me a reason to show you what we're really capable of." 2 weeks earlier. The USS Saratoga drifted through the starry void, its outdated hull plates pitted with micrometeorite scars. Inside the cramped cargo hold, Ensign Michael Jackson scowled at the manifest displayed on his PAD. Stacks of crates and barrels towered around him, a mind-numbing inventory waiting to be catalogued. Michael grumbled under his breath. Fresh out of the academy, he'd dreamed of bold adventures and strange new worlds. Instead, Captain Holloway had stuck him with grunt work, citing his lack of experience. The crusty old captain made no secret of his disdain for green officers. "Join Starfleet," they said, Michael muttered, shoving aside a barrel of emergency rations. "See the galaxy," they said. "Yeah, right." As he reached behind the barrel, his fingers brushed something metallic. Frowning, Michael crouched down and discovered a hidden compartment built into the bulkhead. Inside lay a trove of sleek, unfamiliar devices. "What the hell?" Michael picked up a small crown-like object. It hummed with eldritch energy. Curiosity overcame caution. He raised it to his head, settling the cool metal on his temples. His world exploded. Knowledge poured into his mind like a burst dam, flooding his consciousness with secrets of the cosmos. He saw an ancient race, the progenitors, seeding planets with life over billions of years. He witnessed the rise and fall of 1,000 civilizations. And he felt power thrumming in his veins, potential unlocked by the alien device, a neural enhancer. His muscles surged with newfound strength, his senses sharpened to impossible heights. His thoughts raced at light speed. Gasping, Michael tore the device off. He stared at it in shock and wonder. What was this thing? Some kind of progenitor tech? Why was it hidden on the Saratoga? The deck lurched under his feet, alarms blaring to life. "Red alert!" Captain Holloway's voice boomed over the comm. "All hands to battle stations. We're under attack by Ferengi raiders." Michael charged out of the cargo bay, the device clutched in his fist. He had to get to the bridge, had to warn the captain. But he never made it. A thunderous explosion ripped through the Saratoga's hull, blasting a jagged hole in the ship's flank. Screaming, Michael tumbled into the merciless vacuum of space, the neural enhancer still gripped in his hand as darkness swallowed him whole. He awoke in chains in a Ferengi brig with no idea of the destiny that awaited him. Michael's heart pounded in his chest as he weaved through the crowded streets of the grimy spaceport, the progenitor device tucked securely under his tattered jacket. Ferengi voices barked orders and haggled over prices all around him. He kept his head down, not daring to make eye contact with anyone. A flickering holosign caught his eye. The rusty plasma coil. The bar's entrance was half hidden in a narrow alley, perfect for lying low. Michael ducked inside, the stench of stale beer and engine grease hitting him like a photon torpedo. The bar was a hive of scum and villainy. Rogues of every species huddled over grimy tables, trading secrets and stolen goods. Michael shouldered his way to the bar and ordered a Romulan ale, keeping one eye on the door. "You look like a man on the run," a gravelly voice said behind him. Michael spun around to see a grizzled human leaning against the bar, a crooked grin on his stubbled face. The man stuck out his hand. "Captain Hawkins, of the Artemis. Fastest ship in the quadrant, for the right price." Michael hesitated, then shook Hawkins's hand. "Michael, let's just say I need to get off this rock, fast." Hawkins leaned in close. "Funny, I might be able to help with that, for a price." Michael's hand reflexively went to the device. Hawkins' eyes followed the movement. "Ah, I see. Well, I ain't going to ask questions. You got yourself a ship." Minutes later, Michael followed Hawkins up the ramp of a battered freighter. The ship was a patchwork of mismatched parts, but the engines hummed with power. "Welcome aboard the Artemis," Hawkins said as the ramp hissed shut. "Let me introduce you to the crew." But before he could, a wiry Andorian with a cybernetic eye stepped forward, blocking Michael's path. "Hold it right there. I don't like secrets on my ship, especially from strangers." Hawkins held up a hand. "Easy, Thrax. He's a paying customer. We don't ask questions, remember." Thrax's antennae twitched, but he stepped aside. Michael felt the Andorian's gaze boring into his back as Hawkins led him to the bridge. The crew was a ragtag bunch, a hulking Klingon at the weapons station, a green-skinned Orion woman at the helm, a silent, hooded figure at the comms. Each one eyed Michael with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. Hawkins dropped into the captain's chair. "Strap in, folks, we're getting out of here." The Artemis lifted off, its engines roaring. Michael allowed himself a small sigh of relief as the spaceport fell away beneath them. But his relief was short-lived. The view screen crackled to life, and Prylar's leering face filled the screen. "Thought you could escape me, human. I want my property back. Now." Hawkins scowled. "I don't know what you're talking about, Negus. We're just a humble freighter." Prylar sneered. "Don't play games with me. Hand over the human and the device, or I'll blast you out of the stars." Hawkins cut the transmission. He turned to Michael, his eyes hard. "What did you bring on my ship?" Before Michael could answer, the ship rocked violently. Alarms blared. "Shields down to 50%, the Klingon yelled. "They're firing on us." "Evasive maneuvers," Hawkins barked. "Get us out of here." But it was too late. A final volley of Ferengi fire struck the Artemis, sending it careening out of control. Michael clung to a console as the ship plummeted towards the surface of a nearby planet. The Artemis struck the ground with a bone-jarring crash, skidding across the rocky terrain before coming to a smoking halt. Michael picked himself up, ears ringing. The crew lay stunned around him. A shadow fell across the view screen. Michael looked up to see a dozen Ferengi soldiers surrounding the ship, weapons drawn. They were trapped, and Prylar would be coming for the device. For him. Michael's fingers closed around the neural enhancer, the cool metal sending a shiver down his spine. He knew the risks, knew the toll it would take on his body. But with the Ferengi closing in, their disruptor rifles whining as they charged up, he had no choice. He raised the device to his temples, feeling the familiar hum of power as it settled into place. Energy surged through his veins, a crackling storm of knowledge and strength. His senses sharpened, the world snapping into focus with crystalline clarity. The Ferengi soldiers swarmed into the clearing, their bulbous eyes widening as they caught sight of Michael. They leveled their weapons, snarling orders in their guttural tongue. Michael moved, a blur of speed and grace. He flowed like quicksilver, weaving between the disruptor blasts with preternatural agility. His fists and feet struck out, each blow landing with devastating force. Ferengi bodies flew through the air, bones shattering like glass. Michael was a whirlwind of destruction, unstoppable in his enhanced state. Hawkins and his crew watched in stunned disbelief as the young Starfleet officer single-handedly decimated the Ferengi squad. But even as the last soldier crumpled to the ground, Michael felt the device's power waning. His limbs grew heavy, his vision blurring at the edges. He staggered, the neural enhancer slipping from his grasp. Hawkins was there in an instant, catching Michael before he could fall. "Easy there, kid, we got you." The crew huddled around as Hawkins half-carried, half-dragged Michael into a nearby cave. They laid him down gently, Thrax already scanning him with a medical tricorder. "His vitals are all over the place," the Andorian muttered. "That thing's really done a number on him." Michael struggled to sit up, his head pounding. "The device, it's not just a tool, it's a key." Hawkins frowned. "A key to what?" "A progenitor technology cache, hidden somewhere out there in the galaxy. If the Ferengi find it," Michael shuddered, "they'll be unstoppable. They'll conquer and enslave every world they can reach." Thrax looked up from where he was examining the neural enhancer. "This thing's breaking down fast. It'll be nothing but a hunk of junk soon." The crew exchanged grim looks. They all knew what was at stake now. "We can't let the Ferengi get their hands on that cache," Hawkins said. "But we're just one ship. How do we stop them?" A slow smile spread across Michael's face as a plan began to form in his mind. "We give them what they want, or at least we make them think we are." Hawkins' eyes narrowed. "I'm listening." "You contact Pryler. Tell him you're willing to hand over me and the device in exchange for letting your crew go free." "But that's suicide," Orion woman protested. "He'll never keep his word." "Exactly," Michael said. "But it'll buy us time. Time for me to find that cache and destroy it before the Ferengi can get their grubby hands on it." Hawkins stroked his chin thoughtfully. "It's a big risk, but it might just work." He looked around at his crew. "What do you say? Are you with me?" One by one they nodded, even Thrax, his antennae twitching with determination. "All right then," Hawkins said. "Let's do this, but Michael, you sure you're up for this? That thing nearly killed you last time." Michael hauled himself to his feet, ignoring the screaming protest of his muscles. "I don't have a choice. The fate of the galaxy is at stake, and I'm the only one who can stop the Ferengi now." As the Artemis blasted off, Ferengi warships hot on its heels, Michael struck out into the alien wilderness. The weight of destiny settled onto his shoulders, but his steps never faltered. One man, one chance, one final hope for the future. Michael's fingers flew across the ancient progenitor console, the esoteric symbols and diagrams flashing by on the screen as he deciphered their secrets. The knowledge from the neural enhancer flowed through his mind, guiding him through the labyrinthine star maps and encoded coordinates. With each passing moment, he drew closer to his goal, the hidden outpost housing a trove of advanced technology. The small scout ship shuddered as it dropped out of warp, the desolate planet looming before him. Michael guided the vessel down to the surface, landing beside a towering structure that seemed to grow out of the very rock itself. He stepped out onto the barren ground, the alien sun casting harsh shadows across his face. The door to the outpost opened at his approach, responding to the progenitor device affixed to his temple. Inside, dim lights flickered to life, illuminating a cavernous chamber filled with sleek, angular devices and towering machines. Michael's heart raced as he realized the true extent of the technology cache, weapons capable of obliterating entire fleets, ships that could cross the galaxy in mere days, genetic engineering tools that could reshape life itself. "Magnificent, isn't it?" A voice sneered from the shadows. Michael spun around to see Pryler emerging from the darkness, flanked by a dozen heavily armed Ferengi soldiers. The Negus's eyes gleamed with avarice as he surveyed the cache. I knew you'd lead me right to it, human, Pryla gloated. And now it's mine. The Ferengi will rule the galaxy with this technology. Where are Hawkins and the others? Michael demanded, his fists clenching. Pryla waved a dismissive hand. Oh, they're alive, for now. But their continued survival depends on your cooperation. Hand over the device and the cache, and I might just let them go. Michael's mind raced, torn between saving his friends and protecting the galaxy from Ferengi domination. He glanced at the console behind him, a plan forming in his mind. All right, Pryla, he said slowly. You win. Just let me power down the cache's security systems. As Michael turned back to the console, he heard the whine of disruptor rifles powering up. No tricks, human, or your friends die. Under the pretext of deactivating the security, Michael's fingers danced across the console, inputting a very different command. The outpost's self-destruct sequence. A countdown began, red numbers flashing on the screen. Michael turned to face Pryla, a grim smile on his face. You want the cache, Pryla? Come and take it. With a roar of fury, the Ferengi soldiers opened fire. But Michael was already moving, the neural enhancer granting him speed and reflexes far beyond human norms. He dodged and weaved through the disruptor blasts, his own purloined Ferengi weapon spitting plasma bolts back at his attackers. Ferengi screamed and fell as Michael cut a swath through their ranks, fighting his way towards the cells, where Hawkins and the others were being held. He could feel the device's power waning with each passing second, the strain of battle taking its toll. With a final burst of enhanced strength, Michael smashed open the cell doors, freeing the battered but alive crew of the Artemis. Hawkins clasped his hand in gratitude, but there was no time for thanks. This whole place is about to blow, Michael shouted over the wailing alarms. We have to get out of here. They raced through the crumbling outpost, dodging falling debris and gouts of flame. Michael brought up the rear, his weapon blasting any Ferengi who dared to follow, but as they neared the exit, a searing pain lanced through his side. He stumbled, looking down to see a smoking hole in his abdomen. The edges of the wound charred black. Hawkins and Thrax hauled him up, dragging him towards the waiting Artemis, but Michael shook his head, pushing them away. No, he gasped through gritted teeth. Leave me, I have to make sure the cache is destroyed. We're not leaving you behind, Hawkins shouted, anguish etched on his face. But Michael was already sealing the outpost doors, locking his friends out and the Ferengi in. He turned to face Pryla, who was struggling to rise from beneath a fallen beam, his once fine robes tattered and scorched. Oh, fool, the Nagu spat. You've killed us both. Michael smiled, a trickle of blood running from the corner of his mouth. Maybe, but the galaxy is safe from you. He slumped against the console as the countdown reached 0, watching through dimming eyes as Hawkins's ship blasted away from the planet's surface. The last thing he saw was the Artemis disappearing into the stars, carrying his friends to safety. Then the world turned white, and he knew no more. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.